Okay, we are live. Hi, this is Rachel Armstrong at RackStrong on Twitter, and you're joining us for Tech Tip Tuesdays in F4 at Hollycool Elementary. Woo! Jazz hands. Today we are going to be looking at Hapara, which is a tool that can help you with managing students in Google. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share, and I'm going to talk briefly about Hapara. And then we're going to do a little bit of practice time here at our school. Okay. Alrighty, there's my screen. Okay, so to get to Hapara, what you're going to do is you're going to go into your Chrome browser. When you go into Chrome browser, you're going to see up here in the left-hand side your apps. It's like a little, it'll say apps, it has little squares, square grid. When you click on apps, we already pushed this out to you. So if you click on Hapara Teacher Dashboard, and this is all recorded, by the way, so if you want to go back over it later and I talk too fast, you can go back over it later. But when you click Hapara Teacher Dashboard, it actually takes you to the URL or the website that you need. Okay, so now you will see your teacher dashboard. Okay, my teacher dashboard, my class has no students in it, but I'm going to click on all classes. And I'm actually going to borrow one of you today, and that's going to be Mrs. Cole. Is she in here today, by any wild chance? I'm going to borrow hers because she asked me to take a student out of her class. So I'm going to show you some of the basic features. Yeah?
If you don't have that toolbar, how do we get that to show up?
The
apps in the traditional right, and
good question. Okay, so he's saying if you don't see this up here, and it should be view, let's see, history, no. Should be under view. Let me see. Give me a second. Finding it, file, bookmarks. Megan, am I missing this here? History, bookmarks, window, user. No, I saw it recently, by the way. Window. The settings over here. This opens up the toolbar.
Show bookmark bar.
Where are you at?
yeah, I got you.
Bookmarks. There it is. Okay, sorry. So if you click this, it goes off. If you go into your bars here and click it again, well, you stumped me for the live on-air thing. Here we go. Okay, so now we know how to find it. It's in your settings over on the right if you need to show your toolbar. Okay, so when you click on that, you go into your dashboard. If it's the very first time you're going into it, you're going to actually have to register. So it's going to say, can I, not register, but like give it access to your account. So it's going to say, can I access your Google account? Yes, you can. Okay, so right now, here's the current classes at Hollycool that we have in Hapara. Okay, I'm going to go into Mrs. Cole's class by clicking on it. And you also, I think, have the ability to do that. Now, I just want to show you some of the basic features and how you can use this to help you manage your students, etc. Okay, and then if you could, and then I can answer questions at the end. Okay, so one of the main things you want to know, and this is one thing that will really help you, is this class info tab. Okay, so I'm going to start backwards here. If I click on class info, the reason I like this tab so much is because instead of calling Megan or myself, if your student forgets their password, you can reset their password right here. Okay, so again, how can I help myself using Hapara to manage my students? You can reset their password here. You can also find out what is their Google username. So a student forgets password or username, you can go into Hapara, you can go to class info, and it's right there. Another reason I like this one is because if you scroll down, and you're a person who emails your students a lot, you can simply copy and paste this into an email, and you can, instead of having to type in each one of their emails, but an even quicker way is down here below, and that would be to look at this. You have a class email, and this is Mrs. Cole's class email. It's almost like a Google group. So if I was to use this class email, it's going to email all the students in that class. So like a Google group, right? But if you're someone, again, who emails students a lot, you can do it one of two ways. I don't think so, so I'll show you that in a second when we look up here. But maybe some classes I'm not, do they have access? None of them have access. Okay, so let's look up here. So that's class info, but again, I guess what you'd want to use it for is student ID and password. And I'm going to show you some things that even if you don't have access to, because there's some cool parts of this that if later on we do get access to, then you can use. So something to think about. Okay, going backwards in time. This is another thing you don't have access to, Esther, but it's really cool. Interact. If we paid more for Hapara, this is almost like a remote where I can go in if my students are all on the computer, say we're one-to-one eventually, and we pay the extra money for this Interact piece. We could then hook up their computers to your Hapara dashboard, and instead of you having to get up and like monitor, you can actually monitor what they're doing right here by clicking on current screen, and you can see what that student's doing. You could click on browser tabs and see what's open on their computer. So again, we don't have access to this right now because it costs more money, but this is just a way of you managing multiple computers at once in a classroom to make sure they're doing the right thing. Okay, now I'm going to jump back in time to one other thing we don't have so that I can get to the things we do have. Gmail. Yeah, let's go back with, back and forth. Okay, Gmail. I used this a lot last year, and this is interesting because now clicking on this, if you notice, this student right here, Ashley Burris, she actually has emails in there. So what does that tell you? She has access to the email somehow. So maybe she's not blocked, right? Okay, but what's interesting is if you were to use this, this is a way to teach digital citizenship as well as just being safe online. You can see what's in the student's inbox if they had access to Gmail. You could see all the emails they sent, and you can see even what they've trashed. So they might think they've gotten rid of it, but it's there. And this was what I used last year with my kids to make sure that there'd be an appropriate, and I didn't even check this, but if there was a problem, that's when I went in and checked it. So I actually didn't really use this as much. Okay, but sharing. Sharing is something all of you can use. Okay, so the sharing feature is where you can teach digital citizenship. Okay, these are all the documents in each one of these students' accounts that is not shared. That means it's just theirs, they own it. It's not shared with anyone else, except you. Okay, public, then you could click on this, and I would do this periodically with your class and just say, okay, let's just go look. Who shared something with the public? And now if they've said anyone with a link can view it, then that would probably be public. And that's okay sometimes. But you still want to have that conversation that if you do this, that means anyone can see your work. So you need to be careful what you're sharing, right? So this is just a good lesson to teach. But this one's even more important, external. If they're doing this, this actually becomes a problem for you if they're sharing, that you can even see who they're sharing it with. And in this class, you can see nobody shared it out. But you could see, for instance, did they share it with mom or dad, or did they share it with an email address that you're not familiar with? Because if that's the case, that's a problem, and it's not something that we crack down. It's a learning lesson. Time to talk about, okay, is it good to share with people you don't know, and find out, do you know this person? Okay, all documents. I used to like to look at this sometimes when I couldn't find something. And then you can see every single thing that they have in their Hapara folders. Okay?
So for these kids, for everything that they work on, even if it's not shared with anybody, it automatically shows up in your
teacher can see it. Okay. Teacher can see it. Okay, docs trash. This would be if they think they threw it away, but they didn't. Because you always, again, it's just like, it's almost like this kind of gets rid of the chance to cyberbully. Because you can monitor everything they do, even things they think they've thrown away. Okay, now the biggest piece of Hapara would be the dashboard. Okay, and in the dashboard, the first thing I want to show you is this, because hers is actually hers is already done this way, but if you want to know how to sort your students in dashboard so you can see them, you can sort them by student first name. You can sort them by last name. You can sort them by class group. And all I did was come over here and I clicked on this A to Z. So it's how do you want to see these kids in your dashboard. Another thing that's really nice to look at is to say items. So how many items do I want to see at once in Ashley's language arts folder? If I want to see 3 of her items at once, I can click on this. If I want to see 5 items at once, so on and so forth. If I want to see 25 items at once, that's kind of crazy. I'm going to show you like someone who actually has maybe some stuff in there. So, Rhonda, you have stuff in your dashboard right now. Could I use your class here in a minute? You have
a little bit studying social studies, but they've got folders from like all of the classes.
It's okay.
So there are a couple in social studies right now.
Okay, it's okay. We take a look at it. Okay, but if you look across, this is the main part of Hapara. It's a dashboard. It's a dashboard that helps you, the teacher, save time. Okay, when I first started using Google, the kids had to make the copies. They had to do all this stuff in order to share it with me, in order to turn it in. This right here, this button right here is vastly important. I'm going to go ahead and make something and send it out to Mrs. Cole's class. Okay? So if I want to make something, let me cancel that again. It's this button right here. Say I want to push something out to my students. Okay? I'm going to click that button, and I'm going to select an existing document. If I do that, it selects something inside my drive. Okay? We might want to be careful what we push out to them that's in my drive. Okay? But I could select something, and I could send something that's already there. Like if I had a template, I could send it out to them as read-only. They wouldn't be able to write on it. I could send them out something that I want them to actually, that makes a copy for them, and then they can write on it. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm just going to create one. Let me do this again. Create a new blank document. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to make, these are my options. I can make a copy. What that means is it makes a copy for each student, and it automatically names it whatever I want it to be named. So now it takes away the habit of saying, okay, you kids have to name it this. They don't even have to name it anymore. It's already named for them. Okay, so this makes a separate copy that they own for each student. This share read only, that means that they can only read it. They can't change it. The share read comment means they can make comment. The share read write means that they can edit the document. They can change it completely. Be careful about this one. Okay? Okay, be careful about this one. That means they can take your original and they can change your original. So if you want them to write on it, the best bet is the top one. Make a copy. Okay, so let's make a copy for each of the students in her class. And here's where it gets really cool. I can say %F' test document. Can you write on this? Mrs. Cole's going to be like, what? Can you write on this? This is the 4th grade's test. Okay, next. And I'm going to put it in the technology folder. I can put it in multiple folders, but I'm going to unclick that, technology folder. I can select only certain students that I want to share it with. Maybe I'm doing group work, and maybe the group has to each get a different copy of a document. So maybe I take 5 kids, and your copy of the document that I want looks a little bit different than you other 5 kids. Okay? But for right now, let's just share it to her whole class. And I'm going to click Next. Now this says, do I want to leave it in my drive? Do I want to leave it an existing document, the original? Or do I want to delete it after it makes the copy to all the students? I usually just leave the original. Okay, next. And then it's going to show you, these are all the people you're sending a copy to, and if that's good, you're going to say Start Copy. And again, this is being recorded, so me being loud and crazy. Okay, what's going to happen here is that, and it might take a little bit depending on the time of day, but it's going to start listing all your students, and as it copies it over to their drive, they're going to get a little green check mark. You know that they're good to go when they get a green check mark, and you can close the window. And then you would see it in everybody's. And maybe I should have only copied one. So here, let's close that. Let's go in and try to copy it, something just to one student so it takes less time. Next. And it shows you the process again. Copy. And let's say % for their name. So %F. And that just basically says like Mary's new document. So it takes all their names and puts their first names there. Okay, Mary's down here, it'll say your student will see this document as Mary's new document. Next, let's put it in language arts, and let's just do it for one person, not group. Deselect all might be faster, Rachel. Here we go, Dylan Murphy. Next, leave the existing document in place so that they can't make changes to it. Start copy. Okay, this comes up, and once it's done making the copy for him, it'll be a green check mark. And again, sometimes this is the piece that you may want to do at home if you already know what you want to share with them. Sometimes it takes less time, sometimes more time. It can take up to 10 minutes, it says here on the box. Okay? While it's taking that time, I'm going to see if I can go in someone else's to show you something else. Okay, so again, to get to dashboard, I go to Apps. Hapara Teacher Dashboard, and I don't have a class, but yours would be right there. Okay, and then all classes for me. And then let's go into Mrs. Gillum's, and I want to show you what, on the flip side, why it's so good to use this. Okay, so this is the setup piece, copying the documents to them. But why is that so much better than maybe the other way of doing it? Well, let me see. Which folder are you? Social Studies?
Yeah, the one where it started loading.
Okay. Are you ready to be wowed and amazed? Because here's the best part of it. Okay, so here you can see there's a couple things in Caitlin's thing. As a teacher, instead of having to go into each and every Google account and check and see, you know how you can say, oh, when the last time they edited it was? So you can bust them and be like, no, you didn't. I can see all your edits. Okay, look at this, how much time it saves you. All I got to do as a teacher is scroll over it. I can see, kiddo, that the last time you updated that was September 4th at 11:01 a.m. The last time you viewed it was here. That means if they didn't click, and some of them get smart, you know, and they click on it, they view it, and then they like click it, but they don't really make any changes, you know, so be careful there, but you can at least check and see, oh, I know when you last viewed it, I know when you last updated it, and you can also look and see who has access rights to it, that kind of thing, and straight from there I can click on it, and it'll open it up for me, the teacher, so that I don't have to, again, go into each person's drive. It's already there in a dashboard for me. So that's the main reason that Hapara is so great to me, is that you can check everything so quickly, and that you can push out documents so easily. There's his Vasco Balboa presentation, or her, sorry. His or her, I can't remember who. Now let me go back here and see, was it still, there it is. Okay, so here you see when you copied it over, green check mark, close window, and Mrs. Cole's class. Sometimes I have to refresh it, and, you know, click on a different folder and click back on language arts and see what happens. Okay, let's see, language arts. And there's Dylan's new document. Okay, and that's pretty much Hapara. Getting to it, we went over getting to it. If you ever want to log out of it, and I always just stayed logged in, but you could log out over here. Dashboard's your main component. This little symbol right here, Smart Copy, is how you copy out and push out documents to students. You go to one of your folders. You have multiple folders, and inside their Google Drive, they have multiple folders. And it just keeps things organized for them. Language arts, math, social studies, blah, blah, blah. Gmail, right now, sorry, they don't have. Obviously, Ashley Burris does, and we need to look at that. She's got some Gmail, and so let's look and see if she sent anything. Maybe she doesn't even realize she has it. Nope, she doesn't realize. Okay, trash. Does anyone have anything trash? No. So she doesn't even realize she has it yet anyways. Okay. Sharing, good way to teach digital citizenship. Are you sharing with the public? Are you being safe? Are you sharing outside of our system? Just a good way to talk about that, learning lessons. Interact, we don't have yet, but would be great. It's just more expensive. And class info, good way for you as a teacher to get quick information about your class, change passwords. Oh, I was asked earlier how to delete. Okay, so adding students, you can't do so much, but you know how students move all the time? All you have to do to delete them from your Hapara dashboard is check mark them, and then go down here and remove selected students. And it removes them from your dashboard, so you don't no longer have to look at them. And I think that's it. The only other thing that I think I want to bring out is the calendar. You can use this as a classroom calendar too, and students, I believe, could access it as well. So there's a calendar feature in here too. Hapara, really dandy, handy tool. I'm going to take questions now, so I hope you enjoyed our screencast. I hope that worked for you, the screen share piece, because I wasn't checking it. I don't know if anyone else was. Okay, rock on, Tech Tip Tuesdays. Thanks. Have a nice day.